Hey, good afternoon or good evening, I guess now. This is Kathy from Brainlair Books here with Julian Winters and Leah Johnson to talk about their new books. Before we get started, I just want to read a part of our code of conduct first. You know what we expect from you. The code of conduct pertains to every event that we do here at Brainlair, and it's for all attendees, speakers, sponsors, volunteers. You're required to agree with this code of conduct. If you don't agree, you should leave right now. If you participate in any harassing behavior, you will be removed and you will be banned, and I will not let you come back, FYI. So get on top of that. And the Brainlair LLC is the sole judge as to whether a code of conduct violation has occurred. So we are here to as a safe space. We'd like to keep it that way. If you have some problems, please go ahead and exit right now. Anybody? Okay. All right, so let me introduce you to Julian, and then we'll introduce you to Leah, and then I'll get out of here. Julian is a best-selling and award-winning author of contemporary young adult fiction. He has 2 novels. I've got one right behind me, How to Be Remy Cameron. We already sold Running with Lions. He received accolades for the positive depictions of diverse, relatable characters. I'm going to skip all these awards. He got an award, then another award, then more awards, and he got some start reviews. But he's a management trainer. That's kind of fascinating. I would like you to speak to that. He used to be. He currently lives outside of Atlanta, where he can be found reading, being a self-proclaimed comic book geek, or watching the only 2 sports he can follow, volleyball and soccer. His 3rd book is This Summer of Everything, which I encourage you to get right now. There's a little green button. Make sure you click it and buy Julian's book. It is amazing and it's funny and I love it. So make sure you get it. His conversation partner is Leah Johnson. Yay, Leah. Leah is from Indiana. Yay, Indiana. It was the only good thing that came out of Indiana. Right now, besides Brainlair Books, of course, we're good. But Leah has also won so many awards, and she also was her book, You Should See Me in the Crown, which is right here, was chosen for Reese Witherspoon's first young adult book in book club. She's a best-selling author. Her debut book, it made the bestseller list. I mean, these people are awesome. So listen up. All right, you 2 are on. I'm going to step out.
Thank you, Kathy.
To be Black and queer in 2020. Wow.
Right. Yeah. You know what I will say? I feel like I've been saying this a lot lately. But that's it. Like, this year has been hell in a lot of ways, in most ways, in fact. But, to every Wednesday know that I'm going to get on Twitter and the indie list is going to go up and there's going to be another Black woman on there or, another Black or another queer novel that's like performed really well or, like I was the first Reese Witherspoon, YA book club pick, but the second pick was announced today and it's Furia, which is like about a Latinx like main character. Like it's just, it's really exciting to watch books with POC in the lead, queer people in the lead, like receive their due. And I hope that this is like a sustainable moment in publishing. I hope that it's more than a moment, it's a movement. But even when everything else is going left, that has been a good aspect of 2020.
It's been a fantastic I don't know, it's that bright spot. And I hope, like you said, I hope it's not a spot. I hope it's like this continual thing we have. I hope it's not a season. But it's been so encouraging. It's the one reason why I want to log on to social media. Otherwise, you can have that. But
keep it, honestly.
But I will happily get on there and scream about these things because, it just feels like it's been such a drought for so long. Or, the gates have been closed for so long and it's about damn time we, knocked them over and just ran through.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. Which is why it's so fantastic that we get to be here and do this together. Like I was so thrilled when you hit me up and were like, look, Leah, let's kick it on camera. And I was like, say less. When do you need me?
Oh my God. You know how long it took me to compose that email? I was like, listen, you are writing to Miss Leah Johnson here.
Please. Oh my gosh.
Right. I was hella nervous about it.
Julian, get out of here, okay?
No,
Because when I tell
seriously.
you, I remember when Running with Lions came out, I had to put in a special request at my Barnes and Noble because I was living in Indiana at the time. I think it was 2018, and so like I was home for like a stretch of a couple of months in 2018 before I moved back to New York, and I wanted your book so bad. But like even 2 years ago, like Barnes and Nobles out where I live at did not carry queer books, like by and large, and did not carry a lot of queer Black books. And so I asked for it for my birthday. I was like, Mom, can you please give me this book? I'm like,
Oh.
I'm broke. I like just got out of grad school. And she was like, yeah. And my mom like chased this book down all over Indiana,
Oh,
trying to get me a
I'm
copy
sending
of
your
Running
mom
with
a cake.
Lions. She's she's really the best. But you know, all that to say, I am such a huge fan of yours, Julian. I am so excited to be able
Oh,
to like be your peer now, not just a
yes.
fan.
That I think is the most exciting part, is to have someone. I don't know, because I feel like your writing and just who you are, your presence is so relatable for me.
Oh,
That
yeah.
it feels like such an honor for me to be in this space where it feels like, yeah, like you said, to have a peer and someone that you can really lean on. Like, you know what? You know what I'm trying to say. I know what
Right,
you're trying
right,
to say. Yeah.
right. For sure. Oh my goodness. So, like, let's get into it. Let's dive straight in. I kind of want to know, first of all, like, craft wise, one of the things that is so fascinating to me about your books is that the setting keeps changing.
Oh
Like,
my
I return to the same like general like tri-county area every time I
God.
write a book. But you know, like you're all over the place. And I'm wondering what you think about when you choose where to set your books.
Um, it's so funny because I think for me, I always think about, okay, what story am I trying to tell? And then what feels like, how is the setting going to affect how I'm telling the story? Which is something I don't think I thought about way back in the day when I first started writing like fanfic and stuff like that. It was just like,
Right.
okay, wherever, we're here. Okay, good. But now it plays it's almost like this extra character, especially in the Summer of Everything, where it feels like it's this extra character in the book. Um, and so for this book in particular, it was the missing piece for me to write the book, because I didn't know, like, I needed this place to be set in this that felt like a feel good kind of place.
Mm-hmm.
And like I visited Santa Monica right before I started writing it, and just it came together, and I'm happy it did. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You could definitely feel that there's an interplay between where the book is set and like what the book is trying to accomplish. I think especially I thought about this with I think about this with like parents' careers, which is a really specific lens to look at this through. Is like if you had set your book in like Campbell County, Indiana, which isn't a real place, but it's based on a real place,
Mhm.
nobody's parent is going to be a professional chef. Nobody's going to be going to and from LAX, which is like a whole like, which is a whole
Whole nother
nother
experience.
ecosystem in and of itself, right? And so like
Right.
it definitely changes not only how the reader interacts with the novel, but how the novel is intended to be read, I think, which I find
Mhm.
really exciting.
Yeah. But yeah, that's definitely something that I do think about. As soon as I like pick a setting, I'm like, I'm glad you said that, because that's the first thing I think about is, okay, what kind of job could someone have in this area? You know, I can't just make someone like, a famous actor living in like the smallest town in New York or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely, it definitely plays a huge part in what I have every character doing, or what they can and can't do, kind of thing. So yeah, it's such a huge thing. But I also love, especially with your book, how the setting also plays into so much about what we are going to talk about
Yeah.
within that setting. Because I think people just think that every place is just the most liberal, free, kind of place that you can exist in. And it's not. And that's why setting plays such a big part, because what I love about You Should See Me in the Crown is, if you had set that in New York City, I don't know if you could have openly discuss the things and the themes that you did discuss without people saying, well, I don't know, I go to school and, this is what's going on with us and whatnot. But you've been to Indiana, which I have. My brother lives there. His family lives there. I felt it. Like in every page, I felt like I was being closed in again in this space and just needing to break out. So that's why I think like setting is your extra character in there too, where it's just like, yo, like get off my back. Stop reminding me of what this is like.
Right. Yeah. Like today it was brought to my attention that there was a student at a high school in Fort Wayne, which is in northeast Indiana, and I feel like I'm messing up the directions, but anyway, it's north.
I just know how long it takes to get there from one place to another. So.
Right, yeah, and so it's it's north of where I live, and it's the second largest city in Indiana, and there was a student who was a trans student who was nominated for prom king, or homecoming king, who is not anybody's king. Like she's a queen. Like that's, if you're gonna nominate her for anything, that's what she should have been nominated for. And it's obviously like, it's so clearly an act of cruelty. It's so clearly a way to weaponize an institution that we hail as like this all-American institution. And so, whenever people, because I remember one of the things people don't tell you is that like in the beginning you will get a lot of like negative reviews, but if the tides start turning and like people suddenly start like, oh no, I love that book, no, I love that book, oh no, I love that book, and then it seems like everybody else loves the book, and then you get way less like negative reviews. And so what I noticed with You Should See Me in a Crown is like one of the reviews that I would get frequently early on before I stopped reading Goodreads, before I like turned off my tags on Instagram so people can't tag me in the reviews there either, is that like people be like, oh, this is unrealistic, like this wouldn't happen in 2020, like it feels like this is very clearly an agenda that the writer is trying to shove down our throats, and all this sort of stuff. And yeah, it's 2020, but like, if today showed me anything, like I was so appalled when I saw the story, not because I thought it was unrealistic or because I had never seen anything like it before, but because like it just reaffirms all these ideas that I've been trying to illustrate throughout the course of this tour, which is that like we are not past this. Like, I know folks want to believe that we are at a different time in our history, that we are somehow more evolved, that Gen Z is like these unproblematic angels who like could do no wrong. But the reality is like white supremacy is inherited. White supremacy is learned. And so, and like bound up in white supremacy is the patriarchy, is heteronormativity, is queerphobia, is transphobia. And so, like, as long as those things exist, we're going to be fighting against the same institutions. Like, it doesn't matter like what year we're in. I really appreciate that you would say that, because I've been thinking a lot about it lately, and especially in regards to like the present moment we're in.
And let this really be just a moment.
Right. Please, Lord, please, I'm begging you to let us out. Like, my goodness. I keep thinking, like, what lesson is this year intended to teach me? Like, am I supposed to be getting something from this? Because I'll tell you, I can't afford to break any more limbs. I can't afford to grieve anymore. We've been through enough. Okay. We get it. The writers of season 2020 have just gone completely off the rails.
They have taken their own narrative and really, really messed it up. Like, so bad.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So, I guess coming back to the book, I kind of went way off the rails there. Back to the book. Like, where was this story born? Because I know this is another thing, Julian, you're like the master of reinvention. Like, you keep changing the game with every book. Like, we've gotten a sports novel out of you. We've gotten a, you know, what is almost new adult, like, you know, young person trying to establish themselves in college. We've gotten, you know, like we keep getting different iterations of,
Mhm.
you know, queer teenhood. And I'm wondering, like, where this story began for you.
It began, it's so funny that you said like a new adult feel, because the story began as an adult novel. Um, it was during the time period that I had Running with Lions out there on submission, and I was in that phase of, oh my God, everything is bothering me now because I don't have this story anymore. I'm waiting for someone to say, yes, we want it, or no, thank you, try again, kind of thing.
Right.
And I needed some kind of like mental escape from it all. And that's where this story came from, because for me, an escape is 11 o'clock at night, I'll throw on a rom-com, or I'll pick up a book that's like super funny and super geeky, or I'll read like graphic novels and stuff like that. And so this book came from that, you know, feeling of these are things I escape to, except I can't always find myself in these forms of media and forms of literature. Just as a Black person, as a queer person, as a complete nerd.
Right.
And so I was like, you know, I guess I'll write it for myself, kind of thing. And that's what I want. I want to write a story where you fall in love with your, you know, you have a super huge crush on your best friend, because I'm notorious for doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, I'm notorious for not being able to let go of things from my childhood, nostalgia, or things like that, or moving on. And I really struggled coming out of high school. Even though the book was an adult novel, it very much still kind of went back to that feeling of, okay, what do I do now? I don't have a 5-year plan. I don't know what my future is going to look like. You know, I'm just trying to make it day to day. And so I started writing it. I wrote the whole thing as an adult novel, and circle back, Lions got picked up. It did better than I thought it would do. And then How to Be Remy Cameron came out. And I remember we were at ALA, me and my editor, and she was like, okay, so we're going back to this book, because The Summer of Everything was actually my second book. But then the idea for How to Become Remy Cameron came around, How to Be Remy Cameron came around, and my editor was like, no, this is the book we need to do next.
Mm-hmm.
So we were back to talking about Some of Everything. She was like, okay, so what are we going to do? And I was like, you know, I really feel like, even though I wrote it as an adult, this book needs to be a young adult novel. It feels so much like something I would want to give to teens that are like 17, 18, you know, trying to figure out what to do with all these expectations that adults put on them and what their life is supposed to look like. And she was like, you know what, I'm glad you said that, because I was thinking the same thing. And we hashed out over a couple of phone calls and messages, and it just became what it became. But it definitely started from just this need to escape. And I hope that when people pick it up, they do feel like, even though there's things discussed in there that I think are very relatable, at the end, they still feel like they escaped something, or felt just good at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. There's absolutely a warmth to this book that I think you can't ignore. Like, if you want something that's going to make you feel completely not 2020, this is the place to go.
Yes. I did not know 2020 was going to be like this, but I'm glad that I wrote this book, and it can definitely feel very un-2020. It's my
right.
my rom-com fantasy, y'all. That's what it is.
It's so funny, like, whenever people are like, you know, like, how do you think about your book as it relates to the present moment? Like, oh, your book delivers joy when we need joy so badly right now, and da da da. I don't know if you feel this, and I'm sure you probably do, because we've like spoken about this before, but like, we are constantly searching for joy. Like, all my Black queer friends, like writer friends, that is what our work is trying to explore, like these different facets of joy. And like, Black fiction in general is so often like just an escapist fantasy. Like, in the book, there is always going to be something new or inventive, and like, even if it's not explicitly joyful, it like is doing something that aims to make you think differently or more critically, or pull you out of your circumstance and make you think about something else. And like, I just think that like that is inherent to the work.
Yeah, I definitely agree. All the time. All the time, I feel like I'm searching for joy. I feel like I'm trying to find joy, not only for myself, but like you said, for other people in my community that are Black and queer, because it's like ingrained from like when we can have our own first kind of like critical thought, or our own, we're starting our own opinion. It's shown to us through TV, movies, other different forms, that as Black, as queer, all we are meant for is to deal with trauma, to deal with pain, to deal with racism, homophobia, all these different things. Automatically from the jump, this is what you're getting. So are you sure this is what you want to do with your life, kind of thing? And it's like, why is that all we're shown? Why is it like it feels like we have to like I said, we're always searching, why do we have to fight for that joy? Why isn't it something that we're inherently given, like our counterparts in the world? Why is it always just like, yes, you have to earn this? And so that's what it feels like when people, I'm glad people take joy from our books, but also it's like, why is it so unique that our books are looked at that way? Like, oh my goodness, I was not expecting to find so much joy. Why?
Why?
Like that's why I love that we're normalizing. It's like, no, yeah, that's part of our life too, that we should have had from the jump, but was taken from us. And I feel like that's such a huge thing. What I also love, especially because you were picked for our Reese's book club, is that we get, like, our books get handed to people who don't see us as having, these normalized narratives and stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, here we are in human form. Like, take us as the things that you experience. Yeah, we get to experience those too, without having to fight for them, or sometimes having to fight for them. Just see us as, as equals, rather than, oh, those poor people, I'm so sorry for them. I'm so glad I learned this from this book. Like, you learn that we're human, and that we have joy, and that we are clumsy as hell, and
we have full agency over our bodies, and there's like this little thing called autonomy. We experience that as well. Like, I completely feel you. And I think part of what's happened is that we've watched books come out for generations, like not just books, but like media about Black folks, which has shown us at our most traumatized. And so, I was listening to this interview with Claudia Rankin, who's the author of Citizen and American Lyric, for anybody who hasn't read that book. She also is the author of Don't Let Me Be Lonely. She's just absolutely genius. And she was talking about how, in these moments where she would have previously been silent about how uncomfortable she was because of a comment someone has made that's racist, or an implication that an implication that's been made in a conversation that has that has unsettled her in some way, she would have just been quiet and sort of allowed it to rock, because she would have rather not shaken the table too much. And the way that she phrased this in this interview was, that is a type of complicity in my own harm. And I have been thinking so much about that lately too, about the absolutely like radical necessity to push back against those narratives. Like, this is the way that I am able to counter that complicity that I had for such a long time, or that I was taught to have. Because it's, it's supposed to be like uncouth to talk about like how you're being harmed by other people, and I'm just like, I can't get with it, you know what I mean? Like, I can't abide by that anymore, because we're past that. Like, we've evolved past the need for that. And so, like, it's just really exciting to be at a moment where we get to see more stories like this, where it is so radically joyful and revolutionary in its joy, because all white people have seen of us for hundreds of years is our saddest the saddest moments in our history.
And just, you nailed it on the head. I just started thinking about, it's also great that we are in this fight back, where it's like, no, it's not okay. I'm no longer, going to take all these microaggressions. I'm not going to take all these things that I was supposed to take, because that's what I was told. Don't rock the boat too much. Don't do this in public. Don't say this, because they're going to look poorly on you, or they're going to look at you this way, and you're a threat to you. You're even more of a threat to them. That I'm a threat just existing. So I mean, if me saying what's harmful to me is a threat, honey, I'm sorry. I gotta tell the story. I gotta
Yeah.
tell it like it is. I have to make sure that this next generation knows their value, knows their worth, and knows that, like, yeah, you deserve to be the star of the show. You're not a side character anymore. Stop
Yeah.
hiding in the background. Step forward. I love that about Liz's tale, because it is so much a tale of her condensing herself down into this box version of what she's supposed to be, instead of stepping out and just being, her true, natural, geeky, clumsy self. Like, yeah, Liz, I want you to drop the tray in the middle of the cafeteria. I'm good with that. But I'm also good with you having your moment with your hair out and just being your natural self, hand in hand with Mac. My girl, Mac. I swear. All right, not going to go there. Listen, I tell you, this whole skateboarding thing, and I am so sorry that you went through this, but I'm telling you, it is so on point with Liz and Mac's story,
Never let it be said that Leah Johnson does not commit to the brand. Okay, I am here to lean 100% into the marketing of my book, and if that means I have to rupture my patellar tendon and not walk for 6 months, I will do it. Okay, I'm just kidding. For anybody out there who is who's like, right, who like doesn't follow me on social media, 2 weeks ago I was skateboarding and I had an accident and I ruptured my patellar tendon, and so a couple days ago I had surgery on my knee to repair it, and so I can't walk at present, but this is very much in line with a character that me and or Julian would write. So this is like, why not? Feels really appropriate for our circumstances.
I love that for us, but not really.
No, right. I hate it also. Just a reminder, if you all have any questions and you want to drop them in the chat, feel free. We're probably getting ready to start our Q&A here in a second.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, though, I want to talk about complicated lines of intimacy in your books, because this is something that I love exploring. And that's like, so like taking it back to Running with Lions, we had like childhood friends to enemies to lovers, which is God tier trope. In in The Summer of Everything, we have like I'm in love with my best friend, which is like very quintessential queer yearning. Like, of course, who amongst us hasn't experienced that? And I'm wondering, like, how do you approach writing relationships that teeter between the platonic and the romantic, and how do you decide like how you're going to build that relationship out?
That's a great question. I will say I do definitely draw from experience, and what you said was so on point, which is, I think as a queer person, the whole friend crush happens a lot because we have very few spaces, especially when we're teens, where we feel our safest, where we feel our most comfortable. And I think that's what creates or helps to create that kind of blurred line between the platonic and the romantic, because this is who I feel safest around. This is who I get to take off my mask and be my most comfortable, sit around in my dirty t-shirt and joggers and, and that's what I think, a lot of people think ideally that's what you want from a relationship, is to be able to just, wear your hair down kind of thing. And so exploring that, I feel, comes very natural to me, because I think, like I said, it's just mostly experienced in the queer community, where it's like we can't just go out and, I mean, we can openly have crushes on, whomever we see on social media. That obviously can happen. When it comes to like face-to-face personal relationships, it often happens within that friend space, or people we're closest to. So that's kind of how those things are born. But choosing it, I just think about the different narratives that I want people to take from it, as far as, how important your friends are, especially being a queer person or being a person of color, how important that relationship is, whether it is platonic or romantic. That's just how that's just things I think about, how we explore that space and our comfort levels and how valuable it is.
That's so crucial. And that's like, it's something I've been struggling to articulate too, is that like part of the reason why I think so many of us have this weird, are these friend feelings or are these romance feelings or like something else, is because queer people aren't given the space to explore desire in their teen years in the same way that, most straight people are. And so you find comfort in the people who make you feel the safest. And those people are almost always the people who are like your nearest and dearest friends.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I think that's really fascinating. And I think you do it so seamlessly. It's always such a joy to read.
Thank you. I always wonder, are you just repeating what you did before? But I appreciate you saying that I'm not. I appreciate that so much.
You know what, Julian? This is the thing. I'm like thinking about this right now because obviously like I'm in the editing process for book 2, but like I'm thinking about like what my next book is going to be and like, where are we going? What's the plan for this career thing? And part of what I'm thinking about a lot is that like I return to the same compulsions in my work because those are the things that are most compelling to me. Like I am interested in exploring the intersection of grief and great joy. I'm interested in exploring like complicated family structures and, the need for platonic intimacy and like what it means to sacrifice, have to choose between isolation or assimilation. Like these are the things that I am most fascinated by. And so like they keep making appearances in my work. And I think like if you liked it once, you're going to like it with the next one. And hopefully you'll like it with the one after that. That's all I can do for you. Like I am who I am.
I think it works. I've had a lot of people, they're always like, Julian, you do this thing with this whole coming of age and exploring, what's the future when you don't know what you're going to do with your life kind of thing in every book. And at first I used to be like, well, damn, are you saying that I'm not original? But right. I'm realizing that no, these are concepts that no matter what the story is, are universally felt by people. And you can explore them with different dynamics and still tell a different story from the one you told previously. So I love that you want to continue to explore those things because those are things that no matter what the book, no matter what the concept, I'm going to want to dive into because they are such complex feelings and thoughts and experiences that not one book can tell the full, story. You have to have those multiple versions of it to really be able to dissect, your own feelings or those of the people that are around you. So give it to me. I want it. Come on.
And the thing is, Julian, how I feel about John Hughes. And like, yes, John Hughes does the same stuff in every single movie. Okay. Every time you're going to get the outsider, you're going to get the pursuit of popularity. Mm-hmm. You're going to get, the underdog. Like it's like he's returning to the same thematic elements in every story. And I'm like, if John Hughes could do it and he's one of the greatest to ever make a film, okay, then I'm going to keep doing it. And hopefully you all let me stay in business for as long as possible.
Look at it. I could watch The Breakfast Club over and over again and still watch 16 Candles and feel like I'm watching two completely different stories. Or Pretty in Pink. Also, so many of his movies. So yeah, I feel like we should do it. I feel like that anthology that we were messaging about needs to happen too. But recreate them classics, okay?
I'm not giving up on it. I told David about it the other day. I was like, I know you didn't think I was joking because I absolutely was very serious about it. All right, so I'm gonna go to the Q&A and like field some of these. I don't really know how this works. I don't know if Kathy pops back in for this part or what, but I'm like just clicking around trying to figure it out. There's one question in here from Jude asking, were there any individual bookstores that inspired Once Upon a Page? All the descriptions are so beautiful.
There was not one particular one.
My screen, sorry.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, I went away, but that's cool. As long as you can hear me, that's all that matters. There wasn't one particular bookstore for me. I like took so many different places I've been, whether it's Little Shop of Stories here in Decatur, Georgia. I took it from comic book stores that I visited. I spent like so much time in when I was younger. I've taken it from being on, being in different places for book events. I've had the opportunity to go to a lot of different independent bookstores. So I've just kind of taken something from all of them. But the whole thing that I definitely got from all of them is like booksellers. When I tell y'all, are my favorite people because they are excited the moment you walk in that door.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's like they're excited because you're new, but also they're treating you like your family. Like, come on, let me tell you about these new books that just came out, like you were here last week or something. I wasn't, hello. But so that vibe I definitely took with me. But there wasn't like one particular bookstore that I modeled after, which is kind of like how I do writing, period. I never take like just one exact place. I like to like combine what I love from every little thing that I've experienced in life and make that happen.
I love that. Shout out to indie booksellers and indie bookstores.
Yes.
They truly are the heartbeat of the entire publishing
Yes.
ecosystem.
So buy
like
from indie.
Shop indie bookstores, buy from the Brain Lair, buy from Bookshop, like just check out who your local indies are on IndieBound. Like figure it out, because when we lose indie bookstores, we truly lose publishing as we know it. Not to get too like emo about it, but the reality is indie bookstores, because I just listened to an episode of Track Changes about this the other day, which is the only reason
Sarah.
Me too. Me too. And I love this show so much. It's like been so informative in so many ways. The thing that I did not know is that like with the advent of more independent bookstores and communities, like you can have a more diverse publishing landscape, because like if big box stores determine what everybody needs to be reading based off of what communities are reading in, at Park Slope, Brooklyn, then like that's not going to speak to the person who's trying to read books in, Gary, Indiana. It's not going to speak to the person who's trying to read books in Atlanta. It's not going to speak to the person who's trying to read books in Santa Monica. And so, anyway, more bookstores mean more books, different books, better books. Shop indie. Okay.
Yes.
Let's see. Which comes first for you, the setting or the character?
Character. Always.
Oh, that's so quick. Oh my gosh.
Oh, always character. I don't know what it is about when I hear a voice in my head, but that voice always comes first. Like setting is probably one of the last things that I choose. And then I like, it's such a painstaking process where I'm like, oh, can I set it in Atlanta again? Or should I go over here? Or it's terrible. But character for me. What about for you?
It changes from book to book. With You Should See Me in a Crown, it started with the plot, with so not setting or character. With Rise to the Sun, it also started with the plot, but the plot is the setting because it's set at a music festival, and so like it's the same thing. And with the project I'm working on currently, which I wish I could tell you about, but I cannot, it started with it started with the setting, but also because I wanted to set a story in Campbell County again. And so because I knew that I was coming back to Campbell, you have to frame the story in a certain way because of the community that it's in. So like not that I can't tell any kind of story there, but it has to be very specific. There's not that many Black people in Campbell. And so that like the story has to involve an element that acknowledges race in a really clear way. And so, I guess plot first, then setting, or some interaction between the two. But the character only comes up when I figure out like who I need to move me through the story. Yeah.
Oh gosh, that right there, I swear, it's like one of the hardest parts for me to tell other writers is it's so often not just the character, like physical, visual, whatever you think of. It's also about, is this the right character to move the story? Or is this just a character you enjoy or you like and whatnot? Or you feel is like complex? Great. But is that the character to tell the story? And that is a lesson in itself.
because they've got to be the only one who can do this. Like the book
Right.
only, it becomes unique when your main character is the only person who can get us through the story itself.
Yes, exactly.
Let's see. Oh, great. I don't know who this Taylor Salvati is, but she sounds absolutely brilliant, and also like she would be an incredible publicist. Did you have the final romantic scene in your head when you began writing, or did you find it along the way? Julian, I'm so interested in finding out about this. Please tell us. Oh my
I
goodness.
did not have the final romantic setting in my brain when I first, which is funny because I always do in some way, shape, or form in the beginning of me trying to, craft out a story, have that scene in mind. I'm always like, okay, this is the scene I can't wait to write. And for this book, it was not. It came to me. I was on YouTube as one does, and I was just playing old music. And oh gosh, what was the song? It's an old song. Now it's a shame because I can't think of what it was. But anyways, this old song I was listening to. It just came up on random, as they do on YouTube when you just let it play by itself. And I was just like, I just love the feel of this. I wish I could like put it into like words, and it just came to me like this just natural feeling of writing these two characters in this moment of just being themselves. And I don't know, I think that scene went through so many drafts on my own just to make it feel right. So yeah, it did not come to me naturally, but I'm glad it did because it felt so, I don't want to say full circle. It just felt so right in that moment of the book, that it wouldn't have fit anywhere else. Usually I can shift things around, but this one just felt like, okay, no, this has to be right here at the end. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I love that. I don't know if I find anything along the way. I feel like for the nothing else is a fixed point in the novel. Everything else can change. The opening scene of You Should See Me in a Crown, we rewrote that chapter 20 plus times.
What?
But the last scene in the book was the last scene from the first draft on. Like that scene is always the same.
I love that.
Yeah, I love a really cinematic, like,
Yes.
ending. And so
Yeah.
let the girls kiss, okay? Let them kiss.
Yeah.
That's
Oh my gosh. I'm saying because that is how it always plays out of my mind.
mm-hmm.
When I'm writing, everything is playing in my mind like a movie. I don't follow any kind of rules except for the movie rules in my head. And I have to make it feel like that moment. So I love that you said that, because it rings so true for me. Oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I know how to write a book yet, but I could tell you beat for beat what should happen in a screenplay. Let's see. How do you find the time to read?
I didn't used to, but now, yeah, I know, right? And every day I check my email. Would you like to read? Yeah, I sure would. Send it on over. Hook me up. I didn't used to, but now I dedicate at least 1 hour a night to reading. One, because it takes me out of whatever I experience that day, and I really need that. But two, because I feel like it gives me this energy going into the next day if I have to write or if I have to be creative, to have someone else's like story running through me. So yeah, I dedicate at least 1 hour every night to sitting down and reading whatever, whether it's assigned reading or it's just something I picked up because I want to. And it's made a difference in my TBR, but also then I just keep on taking on more stuff. I'm like, what have you done?
Right. I've backed myself into a prison of my own creation.
I love that though.
How do I don't find time to read. I'm not going to lie to you. I have read a total of maybe 6 books this year, which is incredibly slow, like astronomically slow. So right now, like the way I prioritize my reading is I almost read exclusively books that I've been asked to blurb, or books of friends that I'm doing events with. And so like it'll be on my TBR, and then somebody will be like, hey, you want to be in conversation? I'll be like, rises to the top of TBR. Yeah, it just, I'm so incredibly behind. But it's like I'm reading books because they're blurbs. Like I'm reading books right now that won't come out until like 2021, 2022. And so like I still have books on my TBR from 2018 that I didn't get to. But it's
Right.
like so much stuff like keeps getting moved on top of it that you
Right.
can't like.
So you're preparing yourself for the future TBR. It's just
Right.
the past TBR.
I'm still trying to catch up on that past TBR, but I buy an obnoxious amount of books too. Because it's
too.
like I try to, if there is a book by a queer POC, especially, I will buy the hardback the week it comes out or pre-order it to make sure that they get those major, those pre-order sales. Because I know how important it is. Like, even if I don't have time to read it, even if I give the book away, like, they still need to make money. And so, like, honestly,
and it
like,
still helps push them in publishing. If that many units are sold, someone's looking at that like, oh, yeah, you are. Yes, I am.
So,
I'm worth your money. Let's go.
Absolutely. Right.
Come
so
on.
half the battle, of course, is like you want people to read your book and you want them to be excited and supportive of it. But the other part of it is you just want people to buy it so that you can keep on writing books. And so I'm like, I may not get to this for another 4 years, but you know what? Here's 8 copies of Cinderella is Dead. Like, let's see. Wait, let me check the time really quickly. Okay. What are you reading right now?
What am I reading right now? I just finished a book. I'm like you. So right now, all the ones I am reading are either books that are coming out that I've been asked to blurb or books for events I have to do. But so I just finished a book. You should see me in the crowd. No, Ben finished that. Restarted it, let me tell y'all. And that's so funny to me that you said the first chapter had to be rewrote 20 times because it just is so seamless and I feel so automatically drawn to it through that chapter. Wow. God bless editing.
Right, I was about to say shout out to Maya Marlette because she truly is the like absolute mastermind behind these books. I don't have any idea what I'm doing, but she knows what she's doing. So
we got the kissing scenes down, but everything else,
right. I can give you romance. I can give you yearning. I can give you drama. I can give you a punchline. Can I give you plot? Can I give you structure? Maybe not. I don't know.
Probably not for me. I just finished a book. You've Reached Sam by Dustin Tao that comes out spring 20. I don't know publishing dates anymore. Spring 2021, I believe. Yes, I'm gonna go with that. And it was, oh my gosh, it was so good. I knew it was gonna be good because I read that Dustin did during Div Pit. I want to say during DV Pit of like 2019, 2018. I don't know. It was like, yo.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Just finished it and it is so good. And I'm starting another book that comes out, I want to say 2021. And now I'm blanking on the name. But I do know it's going to be good. It's a rom-com, POC, queer, trans main character. So looking forward to it. I want to say it's called oh gosh, I can't remember. I will.
I'm like, Julian, what's the tea? Like, why have I not heard of, like, where's the book at? Like, where's my copy?
I will tweet about it when I remember the name or when I check my iPad. But I'm so excited about reading that because it's not a rom-com. And I'm just super excited about that. And
wait, is it Meet Cute Diary?
No, but I cannot wait for Emery Lee's debut. I cannot wait. I will not harass Emery about it, but yeah. Right. And so I'm reading that, and then I a lot of times I go back and reread books that I've already read, whether it's for craft or whatever. So I'm rereading Picture Us in the Light by Kelly Lloyd Gilbert, and
oh my goodness.
Yo, Leah.
Please, Julian, tell these people, because that book, literally, I cannot stress enough. I read Picture Us in the Light, and mind you, I don't read that many books per year. Like, even in a good year, I read like maybe 15 novels a year. Or at least that's been the case for like the past 2 years. And so when I read Pictures in the Light in a day, and I went back
Oh,
and reread it the day later, I have never like that. I don't know what, I still can't put language to like what it was that was so
oh no, me
incredible
either.
about that book. But it's like Kelly does something that I have never seen done before, and it just, man, that book hit me like a ton of bricks. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was not ready for
Me either.
the emotion that I experienced. While usually, you could feel something coming on. Like it just hit me out of nowhere. I was like, "What is happening? Why am I crying?"
Yeah.
It. Oh God. So, anyways, y'all should go get, if you haven't already, make
Go
sure
pick it up.
by Kelly Lloyd Gilbert, because it is a must. So I'm rereading that right now while reading books I have for blurb and stuff.
Yeah, fantastic. And let's see. I feel like that also kind of answers like, we'll do this one really fast. What middle grade and young adult would you recommend?
Oh, middle grade. I'm gonna go with Tristan Strong Punches the Polar Sky just because, and I'm not a huge fantasy reader, but that book and just the relatability to it is, I don't know. I cannot put into words why I love it so much, but it just feels like a book that if I had that growing up, I think I would be the most powerful person in this world.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would just feel so much pride and confidence in myself, and being able to see myself in this epic story as like the hero who also gets to mess up, who also gets to do all these amazing things. I don't know. It's just amazing. And then for why, I'm not gonna lie. It's right now. It's 3 books. I'm sorry. I know you only asked for one. 3. You Should See Me in the Crowd. Darius
Oh, thank you.
Deserves Better, and Felix Ever
Yes.
After. Like these 3 books, and for y'all to hit like y'all did all summer long, I needed it. I needed it so bad because
It
I felt
was
like,
good for the spirit.
oh my gosh, yes, it was so good. And I felt like, me personally, I was in a slump. Me creatively, I was in a slump. Like all these things were happening, and then to get to read those books back to back to back, meant the world for me. Yeah. So that was a
Yeah.
long answer. Sorry, Leah, go.
That's okay. I fully agree that I think this year has been really exciting as far as like new new books are concerned. So yeah, I've been recommending the same books my entire tour, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing now. I recommend Always George by Alex Gino from middle grade. I recommend King and the Dragonflies by Case and Calendar. Um, and for YA, obviously read whatever Julian writes. It's all so, it's like a warm hug from your best friend. Um, but I also would recommend Cinderella is Dead by Kaylin Bayron. This Is My America by Kim Johnson. Song of Wraiths and Ruins by Roseanne Brown. The Henna Wars by Adiba Jaigirdar, Late to the Party by Kelly Quinlan. It's just been a really like fun year for like queer YA too, and so like I'm obviously shouting out all my like pals, but I like go and buy them.
Yes.
All right, so I feel like we have time for one more, and I think the best question to ask is Julian, what's next for you?
Oh no, that's the worst question to ask me. I have a book out in spring 2022. I know we haven't even made it through 2020. It's the longest, most painful year ever. But it's called Right Where I Left You. It is a book about a socially awkward Black kid named Isaac, and it's his goal with his best friend is to go to this Comic-Con like convention and also go their first Pride together. It's a big moment for them. And then Isaac lets things get complicated when an old flame kind of walks back into the picture and kind of takes away what he needs to be focused on, which is his best friend and the stuff that's going on in his family. But he's taken away from that, and his world suddenly starts to crumble around him when he starts to realize these things that he needs most, he won't have when he goes to college. So he's spending the whole summer trying to fix these things. It's chaos and rom-commy, but also very layered in family and how we deal with social awkwardness or anxiety and friendships and all the things that I always do. But I love what I'm doing with it this time. It's like Not that I don't love it every time, but this time it just really feels super like, whoa. Can you
Oh my
tell us about
gosh.
Rise to the
Oh,
Sun? Though?
of course. Well, first of all, is this with Duet as well?
No, this one is with Viking Children's Penguin.
I was about to say, oh my gosh, Julian, what's going on? Like, I can't believe it. Like, you just keep churning these books out back to back. Like, what,
Yeah.
they got you in the studio like nonstop.
I know. Listen, Duet has taken care of me. They have made
Yeah.
sure I've had a book out every year, 2018, 19, 20. And it's just been a blessing because every time I get to work with my editor, Annie Harper, it's just like she tells me, go for it. And it feels
Yeah.
so good to be in that. Yes. But
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm so excited. All right, so my next book is called Rise to the Sun. It's about two girls named Tony and Olivia who are coming off the heels of some really tough years and want to embark on one last epic weekend before they take on their senior year. One of them takes on their senior year and the other takes on her first year of college, which she's really dreading. And so they go to a music festival in search of, adventure, and then they find each other and realize that in order to accomplish the things that they want to accomplish over the course of the weekend, they need each other. But because it's a Leah Johnson novel, mischief ensues, and of course the two of them fall in love.
why are our books characters not hanging out? Why?
I don't know. What do we need to do? Like, who do we need to talk to? Somebody, once again, somebody give us a mockumentary. Somebody give us a.
What are we doing wrong? But what are we doing right?
So much. Kathy.
Okay, so I'm here, but I can't hear or see Julian, so I was trying to wait until you gave me a cue. So we want to thank Julian and Leah for being here. It was so wonderful. You guys are like so good together. Thank you for doing this for us. Gave me some joy and energy for tonight. And I want to thank the audience for showing up. Please click that green button and buy these books. The more of these books we buy, the more books we can get published like this. So please buy the book. And I do have a couple of book plates, or Julian was supposed to send me some book plates. So we'll have some book plates for the summer of everything too. So make sure we get those book plates, buy the books. And that's it. Thank you both. Have a wonderful evening. I appreciate you spending this time with us. That was great.
You so much. Thank you, Leah.
Thanks, y'all. Of course. Julian, anytime you need me.
Same. Anytime. Okay.
Bye, y'all.